Hey, Corner Booth fans, we are at the home of June Patterson, 93 years old, who started work in the film industry back in the days of Pinocchio at Walt Disney. She was an ink and paint girl, known as Ink and Paint Girls at the time, and is the widow of Ray Patterson, who was a good friend of mine, who was the last living original crew member from the Tom and Jerry shorts back in the 40s and 50s. And Ray Patterson himself had also worked at Disney on Dumbo and Fantasia, as well as doing some short films with Pluto and some of the other famous Disney characters. So we're about to walk in and get started. I'm here with my good friend Luis Escobar.
Hey!
And also with Chance, who's filming.
So I don't know how good this is going to look. Hey!
And so here we go, another corner booth, and we'll be posting the podcast soon.
All right, see you inside, guys.
It's me.
Did
Hey.
anybody see Page Master?
Have you met?
Who's there?
Have you met Kim before?
Hi.
I think it was horror that knocked off.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Recording.
We're documenting the entire process.
Chance and Louis.
Louise.
Louis. Okay, nice to meet you.
Morning, guys.
Larry. Come on.
Chance.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having
Oh, I
us.
get so shy.
Well, thank you for having us.
Last time I saw you was just one time after I gave your husband's eulogy. I think that
I
was,
remember that.
that was it. This is my friend Luis,
And Louise.
and this is Chance Raspberry.
Hi.
Hi, Chance.
Welcome, guys. We're here at you, coming at you live from the corner booth with June Patterson. She is an ink and painter from all the way back to Pinocchio, one of all of our favorite animated features. So we're so grateful to be here, and we're here with her daughter, Kim Patterson. Thank you guys so much for having us over, and we're really looking forward to talking with you. Thank you, guys.
Ray Patterson was a friend of mine, and June is Ray's widow. Ray passed away several years ago now. I gave his eulogy at the time, along with, who was the second eulogy?
June Hazelton.
Gene Hazelton. So I'd met June a couple times before, so we're going to talk to her about what it was like to work back in the golden age, as well as some of the other things that she worked on, and her husband's studio later on in his career as well.
Oh, nice. That's a long, long time ago.
So June, when did you first start in the animation industry, and what did you do just prior to getting involved?
Well, that's a very interesting question. You see, I happen to have my family, part of my family was already involved. Les Clark, for example. He was my cousin. And he was number 1, number 2, something at Disney's.
Yeah.
From the very beginning. And I happened to be there the night he got the job.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. I was at his mother had 10 children. And they all had to work because of depression.
Yeah.
And Les came home and he said, Mom, I got a job, I got a job, I got a job. He was so excited. And she said, doing what? He said, drawing pictures. He says, for this man, his name's Walt Disney. And he says, I got a job, he's going to take me on. She says, drawing pictures? She didn't think much of that. But he went on, he was okay, he was 18, you know, he was just out of high school. He was very excited about it.
So he was hoping that kind of Walt Disney guy would kind of take off and be successful.
I guess so. He didn't care. He didn't
I've
care.
heard of him.
Whatever happened to that
Depression.
guy?
It was depression. If you got a job, you got a job.
Now, about what year was that? Do you remember?
Well, I was about 10.
Yeah.
Do you really want to know?
Oh, yeah.
Let's see, how old am I now?
28?
At least. It's a lot of years. I can't remember them.
So you're in your 90s now, right?
Yeah.
So 93? 93?
Yeah, about 93.
So we're talking 83 years ago.
Yeah.
We'll do the math later.
We'll put it up on the
That's a good
screen.
And what was your first project that you worked on in animation? Do you remember?
Uh-huh. Pinocchio,
Pinocchio. And you were
a painter.
painter on cells?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
He was never an inker.
never an inker.
No.
So you only painted once the
I only
inkers were
painted.
done.
Because I couldn't ink my way out of a paper bag.
Well, I know that inkers were were very meticulous, and over
Yes.
time, they got better and better at what they were doing, because you would draw the animation, and you'd take those rough drawings and you'd lay a sheet of paper on top of it, and you'd clean that up, and then the inker would lay a piece of clear celluloid, what is it? Is it celluloid?
Yeah, celluloid.
Celluloid over the top of that, and ink. And
Right.
so they had to get to the point where they tried to lose as little of that original flavor and animation as possible. And then once that ink dried, and I know they used several colors on characters, not just one black line generally,
Oh, no.
they paint that.
Yeah. Then I was a painter. And I dropped in painting. I mean, later on, I'd done the studio business.
Did you meet anybody interesting at Disney?
I met Walt.
Yeah.
I made him sign out of his studio. Would you like to hear that story?
Please, yes.
Well, it was one rainy night. And it was late. I mean, it was work hours were over. But it was dark. It was that time of day. And so there was a fellow, I was waiting for my ride. And I was in the Disney's in the opening, in the entry of the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a man there. He had to sign everybody in and sign everybody out. He came in and came out. So he had to go upstairs and let somebody in. And he said, "Now, June, you take over the desk and don't let anybody in or out without having him sign." So I saw a man coming down the hall, and I was feeling very young and facetious. And I said, "Sorry, you can't go in or out without signing here, please." And he stopped, and he just looked at me, and I couldn't see him very too well because it was dark and it was just dim lights. And then he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, my name's June Walker, and I work in Indian Bank." But I said, "That's not the point. The point is that you..." And I'm rattled on, you know. And he just kept looking at me. And finally, he came over and he got down like this and looked at me. Oh my God! I went right on rattling away, you know. So nothing had happened, and I didn't recognize him. And anyway, there was another guy there that was waiting for his ride, and he was up against the wall. And I thought he was going to go through the wall. And he knew it was Walt. And Walt was going to recognize him, and he was like this up against the wall. But I just kept it up until he said, "Okay." So he signed.
Did you
Well,
keep
then
the signature?
The fellow, wait a minute. The guy that had left me in charge of this had taken the guy up to a room, his room, and he came back and he said, "Oh, yeah, but I said, "Well, I made Walt just sign out." "You did what?" I said, "Well, you told me don't let anybody in or out," and I didn't. And so he did, and he went over and he tore it out. Tore out the signature.
So he's got the signature.
Whoever he is, I can't even remember. He's an animator, you know, but
Go for a lot of money.
so I made Walt sign out of his studio, but I don't have the autograph.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I do have a lot of his autographs because my mother worked there. I got a job from my mother there. And it was, I don't know, what did she do? I can't even remember now.
In accounting, bookkeeping.
Accounting and bookkeeping. I think she ran the studio in the end. Really. She was a very, very,
Along with Roy Disney.
Roy, oh, he was her pet.
Roy Disney, some people know, not everybody, that Roy was a lot of the business side of,
Yeah.
of the Disney
Right.
studio. He was more of the silent business side of the studio. And Roy was Walt's brother.
Right. But she knew, you know that the studio liked her so much that they had what they called a Lee's Day. Her name was Leonora, but they called her Lee. The entire studio stopped, and they had celebrated Lee's Day. My mother.
Wow.
Now, my mother couldn't draw out of her way out of a paper bag. She knew nothing about art, nothing at all, or animation. But she had John.
Wow.
That's really cool.
But it just, yeah, you just have to have known her.